Heat sees everything, or at least that's what modern warfare wants you to believe. But decades before satellites, drones, and thermal cameras ruled the battlefield, soldiers were already learning how to disappear from heat itself. Not by magic, by method, and by understanding one brutal truth about survival. If you want more forgotten survival intelligence like this, hit subscribe now, because history hides its best lessons from the unprepared. This is the ghost shelter method, a World War II-era survival technique designed to defeat detection, conserve warmth, and keep people alive when exposure killed faster than bullets. And yes, it can still be built today, fast, quiet, and shockingly effective. Understanding how heat really gives you away. Thermal detection doesn't see people, it sees contrast. Warm bodies against cold backgrounds. During World War II, especially in those harsh winter campaigns, soldiers learned that shelter wasn't really about comfort. It was about blending your heat into the environment until, well, you pretty much vanished. The ghost shelter works by breaking the straight line between your body heat and the outside world. Heat rises, heat spreads, and if you let it escape freely, you glow like a beacon out there. The goal was never to trap heat completely. The goal was to diffuse it slowly, sideways, and downward, so it never formed a clear thermal signature. That insight alone honestly separated survivors from casualties. Why shallow shelters beat deep ones? Instinct tells people to dig deep, but World War II field manuals said the opposite. Deep holes concentrated heat and moisture, creating condensation, frost, and thermal contrast. Ghost shelters were shallow, low profile, and pressed tightly into the ground. Earth is, well, the ultimate thermal equalizer. Just a few inches of soil can absorb and smear heat until it disappears into the background. The shelter hugged the ground, using soil as camouflage for temperature, not just sight. This is why these shelters could be built in under an hour with basic tools. Speed mattered. Silence mattered more. The layered ceiling that fooled the sky. The roof was the secret weapon, not thick, not heavy, layered. First came a rough support of branches or boards. On top of that, a gap, not big, just enough to break direct heat transfer. Then another layer of organic material, leaves, pine needles, grass, finally a thin coat of soil. That air gap was critical. It slowed heat escape without sealing it. Heat that leaked out did so unevenly, spreading across the surface instead of punching upward in a hot column that cameras, or human scouts, could notice. From above, the shelter didn't just look like ground, it behaved like ground. Ventilation without betrayal. You know, smoke and breath have actually killed more hidden soldiers than enemy fire ever did. Ghost shelters handled this challenge with angled vents, never straight up, always sideways. Most often, there were two, placed low and partially blocked with cloth or maybe even some vegetation. Warm air drifted out slowly, cooled as it moved, and mixed with the ambient air before escaping. No plume, no giveaway. Even body movement was minimized. Soldiers were trained to lie still, use insulation beneath them, and just let the shelter do the work. So, why does insulation go below you, not just above? Well, cold ground actually steals heat faster than cold air ever could. World War II troops, they learned this the hard way. The ghost shelter always included a barrier between the body and the earth. That could be branches, straw, packs, really anything dry. This did two things, actually. First, it preserved body heat, and second, it prevented the ground beneath from warming up too quickly. A warm patch of soil could give away your position just as easily as exposed skin. Everything, really, was about balance. You had to stay warm enough to live, but cold enough to blend. So here's the thing. This still beats modern prepping. Most modern survival shelters, well, they focus on comfort or visibility. But this one, it focuses on physics. And, physics hasn't changed. Thermal invisibility isn't science fiction. Honestly, it's discipline, shape, materials, patience. The ghost shelter doesn't rely on technology. Instead, it relies on understanding how heat moves and how nature hides it. That's exactly why this method survived artillery, air patrols, and enemy scouts. And, yeah, why it still works today. It's not flashy, it's not Instagram friendly, it's brutally effective. The real lesson history whispers is that World War II survival wasn't about gadgets. It was about thinking like the environment instead of fighting it. The ghost shelter is proof that the smartest defense is often invisibility, not armor. And that's, well, the kind of knowledge history's survival code exists to preserve. If this opened your eyes, go ahead and subscribe. Share this with someone who thinks survival is just gear. And remember, the dead are visible. The prepared disappear.